Welcome back, everyone. It is night 2 of 13 Nights of Tiki Frights, brought to you by The Search for Tiki. I am The Search for Tiki. I am so excited to talk with, tonight we're interviewing Shima Ceramics, Chris from Shima Ceramics. I've been a big fan of his. His mug designs are always crazy. You know, most people bring their mugs to 10, and Chris brings it up to 11. Some of the stuff he makes is just wild. It's really difficult to make from a ceramics perspective. So I'm excited to talk with him. I haven't met him in person before, so this is going to be exciting for all of us. We are going to announce the winner after this live stream of 2 mugs this time. They're called the Triple Header Mug. It was designed and sculpted by Squid. Squid is Dave Cohen. He's one of the sponsors of 13 Nights of Tiki Frights. And we're giving away 2 of these mugs. And they're not just any mug, because they are actually artist-proof mugs. So these mugs were used to determine the final glazes that they went with for the final version of the triple header mugs. They were made by Tiki Bauer, which makes mugs out of California. So I think I saw Shima Ceramics in here. So let's see. And guys, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, feel free to add them in below. Hey, how's it going? Good.
What's up, man?
This is
Thanks
exciting,
for having
man.
me.
Thanks for joining us. I have never really talked to you in person, so this is exciting for me.
Yeah, me too, man. This is great.
It's good to have you. I know we have a lot of fans. You're a perfect tie-in for 13 Nights of Tiki Frights, because you do make some tiki mugs, but you also kind of make, I think you call them deviant oddities.
Deviant ceramic oddities. Yeah, I like to go a little bit fringe, a little bit dark. That's kind of just my nature.
That's your nature?
It seems to be. I didn't do it on purpose. They just, when I make stuff, I'm like, wow, that's really creepy. You know, I figure out afterwards. But yeah.
Speaking of creepy, man, that thing that you posted on your Instagram.
Is that
a new mug?
Yeah, I'm working on I probably shouldn't talk about it too much, but it's a new mug that and I was screwing around with the face, and it's just so easy to make a face look horrific. It's very hard to make it look pretty. So I need to work. It's not supposed to be pretty, but it's not supposed to look quite that creepy. So,
quite that scary.
Yeah, it's got some work to go.
I love it. I'm excited for it. You've been making mugs. It's been 5 or 6 years now?
Yeah, since 2015, I've been doing mugs. I've done ceramics pretty much my whole life, but mugs more recently.
What did you do before you got into the slipcast mugs?
Sculpture. I did sculpture, painting. Actually, I went to school for art, and I did a lot of painting and stuff, but whenever I wanted to relax or get away from all the critiques and stuff like that, I'd take a ceramics class. It was always my go-to for having a good time with art, and so eventually it just made sense to do that. So yeah.
How did you get into mugs specifically?
I got into mugs through nursing. Kind of roundabout. I was taking my nursing prereqs at a community college, and my study buddy, we'd go over to her house and study, and when we were done, her husband would make these cocktails, and they were fantastic. They just changed my whole world. I didn't know that cocktails could taste this good. And this is towards the end of nursing school, and I was like, I'm not sure if I'm gonna be such a good nurse, but I really love these cocktails. Turns out her husband is Eric Adkins, who's a pretty big deal bartender on the West Coast. He runs the Charles Fan Slanted Door restaurant group, and he's the beverage director. Anyway, he's fantastic. So I got cocktails from the best person, and he taught me stuff about this is agricole, and this is, he taught me a bunch. And when a restaurant, when the Bull Valley Roadhouse opened up, he had worked with those people, and he got me in as a server. and when they first opened up. So I started off as a server and then worked my way up to the bar.
Okay, so you make drinks yourself.
Yes. So yeah, I guess that's only half the story. So I became a bartender, and on one of our research and development trips, we hit up
Okay,
Smuggler's Cove, and
naturally.
that changed everything. That changed everything. Once I figured out how good tiki drinks could be, 'cause the Bull Valley Roadhouse is very craft oriented cocktail stuff. Anyway,
Yep.
that blew my mind, and we ended up starting a tiki night every Thursday. We would do tiki night. Change the whole menu over to just tiki cocktails. Um, and then at a certain point, I wanted to start doing ceramics again, and it was just kind of a natural fit.
Okay,
I've
yeah.
got
So like you kind of had diverged two ways, and then all of a sudden it was like, wow, both of these things, even though they seemed like they were totally different, kind
yeah,
of jived.
they fit perfectly. And so I'd be working as a bartender, and then on my off time, I would be doing ceramics, and it just clicked. So I started
Did
making tiki
you
mugs.
did you meet Martin Kate that first night when you went to?
No, not the first night. No, but I did eventually get to meet him
Okay,
a
yeah,
few
because
times.
it kind of this conversation naturally segues into the wreck of the HMS Vernon, right? So
Right. Yeah.
so last year during the pandemic, you made mugs with Smuggler's Cove, but of course it's. Oh, do you have one right there?
Oh, I do.
Oh no.
I don't have that version.
Okay.
I just have my
Oh, you got
drink.
your drink? Go for it.
Yeah, I'm drinking. I'm drinking my
I've been
favorite
drinking along.
rum, Hamilton
Cheers.
Black. Mm, I like it straight.
My kind of guy.
Yeah. This is the so I made for him a, a three-piece mug set. There's the mug, which is a squid, a kraken attacking a ship,
Yep.
and there's like the little guy getting attacked, and the anchor's thrown up on deck, um, and then there's the candle votive that goes with it. So you
I was
you light a
I was
candle in
so
there.
excited. So from my perspective as a mug collector, right? So Martin Kate posted on Smuggler's Cove that he had a bunch of mugs lined up as like pandemic releases, and it was Tiki
Yeah.
Diablo, Tiki Tony, and you. And
Hmm.
I love Tiki Diablo, I love Tiki Tony, but when I saw your name, I was like, whatever this is, I don't know what it is, but it's going to be bonkers because
Yeah.
you always do crazy stuff. Was it, did Martin Kate like approach you with the idea, or were you just like, I want to make
Um,
this?
no, we talked about doing something that fit in with the Smuggler's Cove aesthetic,
Yep.
and I came up with the idea, um, and then he helped really hone it and tweak it because he knows so much about everything nautical
Yep.
and everything about rum. So um, he helped me work out the details.
And
Um,
you were like, why make one mug when you can make a three-piece mug?
yeah, I wanted it to be special. And I was inspired by Crazy Owl's Sea Serpent. The idea that bar, the bar top is the water, and something's coming out of the water. You've seen
Okay.
the sea serpent, right? It's it's a
Is
multi-piece
it?
where it's got a
Um,
tail on one side and a head on the
yes.
other.
Yes.
So
It
yeah,
kind of. I don't know if this is correct or not, but it almost seems like kind of Asian inspired.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I heard you talking about Grail mugs. I think that's my Grail mug.
So you don't have one?
No,
Oh, you haven't
no.
pulled in that favor card? You got to message him. I think he
Maybe
does customs.
maybe
I've seen
someday.
him do a couple customs.
Yeah, space is an issue here. All my spare space is filled up with my own mugs. So,
I was gonna say, like, are you a mug collector, or do you
um,
find now that you make your own mugs, you don't really have the space or the time for that hobby?
I have a few mugs, but I mostly don't have the space or the time. Um, Usually if I want a cool looking mug, I've just got to do it myself. That's kind of how I started. I was like, my very first mug was this Cthulhu mug,
Okay.
and it started off with I couldn't believe that it didn't already exist, that somebody didn't already do it. So So I
Of
did it.
course, now there's many,
Hey,
but I
well,
have to say,
I'm not so good with the internet research, and it turns out somebody did already do one. Horror and Clay did
oh yeah,
one a year or
Jonathan.
two. Yeah, he did one a year or two before me. Luckily, it was different enough.
Yep.
Um, I based this one directly off of H.P. Lovecraft's original sketches, right down to like the creepy writing. It's
Love it.
supposed to be like a stone idol that they find in the story, and it's all super evil, and people are worshiping it. And so I
You,
tried to
you
make it
do
as true to the story as I could.
you do such a good job. I mean, when people think of like um, media mugs, for lack of a better term, right? Mugs that are inspired by media, I think there's a
Hmm.
tendency to think like cheap, but
Hmm.
that's not the case with your mugs. Your mugs look like you would find them in a jungle, or you could find them in like a fine ceramic art shop. They're totally different than what you see other people doing, and that's really cool.
Thanks. Yeah, that's always been one of my uh, goals, is to make stuff that people haven't made yet, which is really hard to do. But I mean, it's hard to find stuff that hasn't been done. But usually, if
You can always put
somebody's,
a new spin on it, though.
yeah, you kind of do. Um, yeah, if it's already been done, I either want to do it in a different way, or I just will move on to something else.
So how do you choose? What's
Um,
your what's your idea process for coming up with your mugs? Do you have
uh,
one, or is it just like lightning strikes and you're like, boom,
Lightning
there's it?
strikes. Yeah, exactly. I'm in the shower, or I'm just lying in bed thinking, or if I sit down and try and think of a good idea, that usually doesn't happen. It has to
Fair
come,
enough.
yeah, on its own. Um,
Have you ever, you've made some, well, we'll start with this. What's the most complicated, technically complicated mug that you've made?
um,
Is there one that just like you loved it, but it was a pain to work on?
yeah. I think the hardest one that I've got a bunch of them around here, but the hardest one is probably the scorpion bowl. The scorpion bowl, because its form, usually you would have a form that goes up and maybe comes to a peak, or the openings up here. But when you have a form that comes up and then down in, and there's detail in here, then you
Yep.
need extra mold pieces up on top that have to fit in, and also be able to pull away from the mug and the other plaster pieces, all without
So how
locking.
many
So
pieces in total is your scorpion ball?
the scorpion bowl, the body is 8 pieces, and then the tail is 3, and then the back is 3. Um, but I have one right. So the
You
mold is
got
the
it?
mold is yeah, the mold is so big that I mean, I can barely lift it when it's empty. And so, in order to dump it, I had to make this 5 foot lever that you pull, and it dumps into a trash can underneath, a barrel underneath. Um, yeah, it's a monster. This is Here's the scorpion bowl if you haven't seen it.
And
Um,
this is the Lovecraft glaze, right? The Eldritch Terror.
yeah,
Am I getting it right?
yeah, it's a two-toned sprayed matte glaze that fades down the middle, and then the back comes off, and you got these long straws in here, and then the
This is
tail
just
comes off
so over the top.
for
I didn't know the
cleaning.
tail came off.
Yeah, that way it chips flat, and you can clean it and dump it out, and then also you can put something in here, light this on fire.
Yep.
So, but yeah, this purple, I'm only making 25 of these, so this is my plug, my latest.
Here's your sponsor. Get
Yeah.
them. Get them while you can. That's so cool.
That's
So
heavy. It's a
my
beast.
first. So whenever you use a mold piece, right? So you're gonna get seam lines, I
Mm-hmm.
would assume.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're telling me that it's 8 pieces and then 3 pieces and then three, how much time does it take you to clean up one scorpion bowl?
Between the back and the tail and the body, I'd say it probably takes an hour from demolding it to trimming it, wet trimming it and then dry trimming, sponging it. Takes
I think
about
you
an
got it down
hour.
to a science then, because it would take me probably 18 hours.
Oh yeah, the first one takes forever, but you just make yourself a little factory and just plow through them. But yeah, it takes a while.
I love it. I saw, and this is a question I don't know about ceramics. So I saw that you posted on Instagram the mold for the scorpion, and it's made out of rubber, right? How is
Oh,
well, first of all, do you make all your molds out of rubber?
the master molds are rubber. I make the
Okay.
master mold out of rubber, and then you get multiple plaster molds from that.
Yep. How is that different from silicone that other people use, or is it not?
Oh well, it's actually interesting. I by asking around, and also Van Tiki, watching Van
Yep.
Tiki clued me into um a better way to make mold. Since I made that mold, I figured out a much better way to do it. So I
So have
don't
you
use.
gotten away from the rubber then?
Yeah, I mean, what? Uh, technically, it was uh, urethane, um,
Okay.
urethane rubber, and so I moved away from urethane rubber and I switched to silicone in a different process, and it's a lot better.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah, it's a lot easier. I mean, it's still a
Somehow
pain.
Henrik always comes up in all of these conversations without
Yeah,
fail.
I was watching I was watching the earlier ones, and he always comes up, and you know, I figured you'd probably ask me who is my favorite mug maker, and he's up there. He's one
Henrik,
of my, yeah, he's one of my top guys. He's
super
just
talented, and he's just a nice guy.
yeah, exactly, and very whimsical. His pieces are whimsical and creative, uh and beautiful. So yeah, what's not to
That
love?
little Amy that he just
Yeah,
came out
oh,
with.
adorable. The volcanic vapors is on my list. One day I'll get one of those.
You're gonna have to pay a pretty price for it now.
Yeah, yeah, that and the crab claw. Have you seen the crab claw? That's, I mean,
The one that you can't put
lobster claw,
down,
lobster claw.
where
Yeah,
like you're drinking it and now you have to finish it before you. Yeah, he did. I think he's done two of those. The tentacles. The tentacles were the other mugs like that, where like you
the
can't put the mug
tentacles.
down
Yeah,
until you finish drinking it.
the,
Tentacle tipple, I think it's called.
yeah, yeah. That's a good example of one of like me doing. I actually designed something just like that and made it as a
Yep.
little shot glass. And then after I was all done making it and produced a few, then I saw his online, and his was bigger and better and prettier, and I was like, ah, shit. So I just stopped.
You just
Um,
canned it. Aw.
yeah, but I mean that's fine. But
But he ultimately, so he stopped that mug.
yeah, because it was
That's an example. Like
complicated. It was
it was
a
just, it
technically
was too.
complicated. It
Yeah,
had
he was
issues.
putting all the suckers on individually, and it was just too
Yeah,
time consuming.
that sounds
Have you
pretty
ever
fun.
started a mug, which technically you realized halfway through it was just like this is not going to work?
Oh yeah, like I had to change mid gears sometimes. Do you know the Tiki Gorgon?
Yeah,
Um, I've got so I
which is massive.
yeah,
That thing is like
I love Stranger Things. And so when I
okay.
saw Stranger Things and I saw the Gorgon, I was like, the Demogorgon, I was like, that needs to be, somebody's got to do it. And it's probably going to be me. So I just did it. And even though it's not my idea, it's their idea. And but I love the show so much. So I made this, and originally the mouth was a separate, or the mouth was a separate piece,
Yep.
because to make this all as one mold would just be crazy. Um, so the mouth was a separate piece, and you're supposed to take this off so you could clean it. But the way it's angled, it was the lid fit on like this, and so if you moved the mug even just a little bit like this would just fall off and break.
Oh,
So I had to change gears, and each one is like I have to stitch them together. I have to seam them together.
okay.
Um,
So is that two pieces essentially?
it's two pieces, yeah.
See, I
And
was thinking this is why mold makers are so talented. I was thinking that you had to put each of those I don't know what they'd be called, like the flaps on
oh,
individually.
I mean you
But
could, but whenever you attach something, there's a risk that they'll shrink at different rates and then they'll crack or
yep,
fall off. So yeah, that would
so
be
no good.
That would be a pain in the butt.
I have let's see right here.
Mm.
Drink break. Drink break. Here's a question for you, unrelated to mugs.
Okay.
Someone wanted to get into H.P. Lovecraft.
Mm-hmm.
Which stories do they go to?
Oh, good question. Man, I mean, I know it's the most basic answer, but the Call of Cthulhu is fantastic. That story is, if you just pick that one up, if you can only read one, that one
Okay.
is my favorite. Why am I blanking on the other names? The Dunwich Horror, I think, and The Color Out of Space. I don't know if the story is called The Color Out of Space or if the monster is called The Color Out of Space, but it's just that's one of my favorite stories, where it's just a farmhouse where all of a sudden the greenery all dies all around and people start going crazy, and then it's because this colorful creature just made out of, I don't know, out of air and light is living
that's
in the
the thing
well.
about Lovecraft. Like, it's so hard to explain, right? Because
Yeah,
it's this scariness, and as soon as you manifest it, it's like
I'm not doing it
scary
justice
anymore.
You have to read the story. Yeah. He's a tough one to work through, though. I gotta say, if you just pick up Lovecraft, you're like, wow, he's droning on forever in this one, and this other story I have no idea what he's talking about, and then wow, that was really racist. You gotta work through it.
Yeah.
There's a podcast called I think it's called the HP Podcraft.
Okay.
Is that right?
It sounds
Yeah,
good.
I think it's HP Podcraft, where these two guys actually go through each and every story. They read it to themselves, and then they talk about it and talk about why it's worth reading or not, and what they liked about it, what they didn't, and helps explain some of the weird stuff that's going on.
Is it kind of on like the basic level, so like anyone can kind of listen to it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you got to be a nerd to like it. It's super
Let's be
nerdy.
real. Realistically, there's probably a lot of nerds watching this, and that's
Yes.
totally okay.
Oh yeah, no, it's not a bad thing. You got to be nerdy to appreciate some of this stuff. So.
I have so we got a couple giveaways for the people that are watching. This is a pin where 13 Nights of Tiki Frights is sponsored by the Black Lagoon Room. This is called Skulligan's Island. It's 2 skulls. And I had an H.P. Lovecraft question. The first person to guess this correctly in the comments will get it. The question is, if you found yourself at the Mountains of Madness, where would you be geographically? So first person that answers that question correctly will get this Skulligan's Island pin. So I'll try to watch the comments.
I probably can't
you said you like the macabre. So what is Halloween for you? Are you a big Halloween person?
Like in spirit, yes, I'm a very big Halloween person. When it comes right down to it, though, I always run out of time.
Okay.
I'm kind of in the throes of family child rearing and stuff.
Yep.
I've got an 8-year-old, a 2-year-old, and next month I'll have a newborn. So
you're starting all over again.
So it's just kind of crazy. It stopped being about Halloween for me, and now it's more about the kids. Eventually, though, once shit gets a little less insane, we do want to set up the house so it's super creepy. Like my partner Ashley, her dad would always set up the house so that there'd be a dummy holding the candy, and then when the kids would leave, he'd like pop up out of a different chair, and grab them.
Is this someone like pretending to be the dummy?
Yeah, like they would think that the person holding the candy was real, and they were gonna grab him, but it was just a dummy.
Oh.
And then over there is another guy, and he grabs them. Scares the crap out of them. You can't do that anymore, apparently. No, I don't think that's legal anymore. I don't think you can grab kids anymore.
Yeah, it's probably frowned upon.
But back in the day, the kids loved it. So I'd like to do something like that someday.
I did see the winning answer, Rusty.Bridges, Antarctica. It was the correct answer for Mountains of Madness. So you get this pin. We'll send you a message after this. Congratulations. When you how do your kids feel about the mugs? Are they into it, or are they just indifferent?
Oh yeah, they love them. I mean, we do ceramics day a lot, where if I'm watching them, we'll go out into the studio and make stuff.
Oh, rock on.
Roll some plates out, and they can press their little letters and details and plants and stuff into the clay and make plates. Or they're not quite at the making the mug level yet.
Yep.
That's a little trickier, but soon.
You said the oldest was 8, right?
Yeah.
So a couple more years.
Yeah, a couple more years, and she'll be.
Then they'll be making the tiki gorgons.
Yeah. Yeah, it won't be long. She's really good. She's very talented. Sorry, what was the question?
How they felt about the mugs. Like if
Oh
they
yeah,
were into it, or if they were like,
they
yeah, those dad's going crazy with those mugs again.
no, they're not quite at the dad's a weirdo age yet. I'm sure it won't be long
That's coming.
before it's embarrassing for them. But right now they love them, and they'll drink out of them. They drink their milk out of skulls sometimes.
The which ones? Your shrunken skulls, like your
The
logo
shrunken skull, yeah. And then Lemon, my littlest one, she'll drink out of this double shot
Oh, the little
glass.
shooter ones. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's cute.
How many? So you use master molds. How
Mhm.
many mugs how many of those skulls in particular do you pull from a single plaster mold?
About 20 or 25. It kind of depends. The shrunken skull mugs, the detail is really fine, so
Yep.
the molds don't last very long.
Do you
So,
still have to like carve in
um,
all the details like after the fact? I mean, obviously you have guidelines, but
no, you don't have to carve in all the details. Some for sure where the seam lines are, and like
yep.
little bubbles will pop up and stuff, so you've got to touch it up. But no, luckily you don't have to carve in every single one.
What's your favorite part of making mugs? Is it the glazing, the sculpting,
It's the
mold
sculpting.
making?
Sculpting is fun. I mean, mold making is sort of fun, but it's also really stressful
Yep.
because there's a lot on the line, and if you screw it up, it's kind of really sucks. um, and there's a lot that can go wrong with mold making, but sculpting is super fun. That's if I could just do sculpting, that would be. I guess that would
That would be
kind
your
of be the
ideal.
dream job.
Just
Yeah.
hand off all the other stuff.
hmm
Do you
Yeah,
have
it's
a
something
team that
about
works
working
with
with.
you?
What's that?
Do you have a team that works with you?
I have a couple of assistants that help part-time.
Okay.
Yeah, they help work through. There's a lot of busy work when it comes to mold making.
Ceramics is it's slow.
Yeah, it's very time consuming. But and it's really hard to find an assistant that's good. You've got to be like really good with detail and have a real eye for detail and be patient and all that stuff. So yeah,
I think you
I
gotta
got
be
I got a
passionate
couple of really
about
good
it to
ones.
an extent,
Yeah, that too.
right? If
Yeah,
you're not passionate about it and you don't really care about those seam lines.
exactly.
So,
Yeah, it was hard to find people that want to do that, but luckily what I did is I poached the very best workers from the restaurant. So like
You've come
I'd
full
get
circle.
all the best barbacks and stuff, the ones that were I would work with the barbacks, and I'd see how good they are at detail work and how much they care about stuff, and how fast they are, all that stuff, and just I just nabbed the best ones. So they work
You gotta
here.
watch out for that Chris.
Yeah, I know, seriously. Yeah, they work for me in the daytime and then go to work at the bar at night.
Okay, so they're still there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I wouldn't take them away completely.
Speaking of Henrik earlier, so this is one of my favorite questions to ask people because I get such different answers. But how do you feel about opening the kiln? Is that
Um,
like an anxious process for you, an exciting process?
it's Well, I guess it's both. It's I'm always a little nervous, especially if it's a new glaze that I'm trying out or a new technique. Um, because you never know what you're gonna get. Like what you paint on looks nothing like what it's gonna turn out. And if the kiln cools a little bit too fast or a little bit too slow, or the temperature is, I don't know, the placement of the kiln, it could be anything. A million things will make it
Yep.
not turn out how you expected it. So, um, but it's mostly exciting. It's kind of like Christmas, especially when you've got something you're really looking forward to, and like you worked really hard on it. It I guess it's exciting like Christmas. Um, my stuff usually doesn't blow up if you just do a few basic things like let everything dry all the way first and
Yep.
assemble it right. They're not going to blow up. So
How long do you let your mugs dry?
uh, it
Do you have like
depends
a
on the
set?
weather, but like no, I just told. I mean, they'll be white instead of gray, and when they're
Okay.
completely dry, I just wait for them to look right. Yeah, in the winter it could take 2 weeks. In the summer it could take 2 days. So
You're in so you're basically in San Francisco, right?
nearly.
Where
I'm
you
in
live?
Port Costa. I'm in this tiny, tiny town of 200 people. Um, and it's super podunk looking, but we're also 25 minutes from Berkeley and 35 minutes from San Francisco. Um,
Okay.
so it's a nice little. It feels like you're in the countryside.
Is
Um,
that where you like grew up, or did you
no,
grow up
no.
somewhere else and you moved?
I grew up in LA. I never
Okay.
lived any place this rural before. Uh, but, and then I lived
Is
in New
that a
York
good
for a
thing?
while. Yeah, it's great. No, I love it. I grew up in LA, lived in New York for a while, just city, city, city. So this is a really nice change. Planting fruit trees and stuff. It's a it's a really nice change. And space. There's so much more space here than in the city. Like
Yep.
I was able to turn the whole garage into a giant studio, so it's
Okay, so
perfect.
that's where all the mug magic happens.
Yeah, I would be in there right now, except the reception's crap.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm up in the attic right now. Um,
are you really?
yeah,
Do you
yeah.
just have like
Don't be
bamboo
fool.
thatching in your attic, or was that added?
This is well, my attic is also my photo studio, so this is backdrop
Okay,
for shooting mugs, and I've got my lighting for shooting mugs, so I just sat in front of it.
perfect.
But yeah.
For the mug nerds out there, what do you fire at?
Oh, cone five, which is mm, mid fire. That's 2,167 degrees. About. I could be off a little bit, but it's about
Is
there.
there a particular reason? Is that just like what you are comfortable with?
Yeah. Well, when you're in pottery classes in college, usually they fire to cone 10, which is like the more traditional earthy type of pottery that's like not a lot of bright colors, a lot of cool patterns and stuff, but not a lot of bright colors. And then the low fire, you get super beautiful colors, but they're a little bit more fragile,
Yep.
a little bit more delicate. Um, and I mean they're still sturdy, but I just went with cone five because it seemed like a good fit for me, and the colors are they really improved over the last few years. I don't know how, but
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
they're getting better and better. So a lot of the stuff that you could only do with low fire, the cool speckles and crystals and stuff now, like there's just all these options. So I
And
do
you're
mid
going
fire.
crazy with them now on Cthulhu. Do you have a
Yeah,
favorite glaze that you've been using lately?
yes. I wish I had brought it. There's this one. uh, I only do store-bought glazes. I used to try and do my own glazes, but it's so hard to get even store-bought glazes to be consistent enough so that you have 100 mugs that all look almost the same.
Yep.
Um, Making your own glazes is just I don't know. I screwed up so many mugs doing that. I was like, this is not worth it. Not worth it. Like I'll make a little batch and it'll be the most amazing, incredible glaze, and then I'll make a big batch of it, and it will just like fall off the mug or something. Like, yeah. So, I can't remember the name of it, but one of the Cthulhu's is called "They Came from the Stars Blue," which
Yep.
is and it's sort of bluish, purplish, super shiny, like glass shiny, but then bubbles in places and turns to like a kind of iridescent moss in other places. It's just so beautiful, and the photos don't do it justice. So I don't sell a lot of them online, but I sell a lot more in person.
So
Um,
just a single glaze.
yeah, just a single glaze, and each glaze is different. You've got to apply it in the right way. It's weird. Some need 2 coats, some need 3 coats, some need a dip, and then hand painted only. If you just dip it, it looks terrible, but if
Yep.
you hand paint it, it looks great. So you just gotta
How
mess
do you
around
figure
with
that
each
out?
kind. Trial and error. You
So
just screw
you
around.
just burn through some mugs.
Yeah, well, there's always ones that don't work out in the bisque fire, in the first fire. Um, they get cracks or something, and so you just use those as tests.
Yep. What do
But
you
it's
do
a
with
lot
them?
of fun. It's very much like Christmas when you open up that kiln. It's like 'cause you don't know what you're gonna get, but you know it's gonna be exciting, and when it's good, it's just like, oh yes, you nailed it, you know. And when it's awful, then well, then it's you just
See,
try again.
those seem to be the two. So there's very little middle ground. People either say it's like Christmas or it's
Yeah.
like the worst thing they've ever experienced in their life.
Oh, I don't think of it as being terrible. It's like, and it's a waste of you wasted a lot of time because you ruined a bunch of mugs, but it's not terrible. I mean, much worse things can happen. So,
All right. So based on the time, I have another giveaway here. This one is a glass straw uh, from Surfside Sips, and it's got a skull on it. That
nice.
seems to be the theme, is skulls this time around. And the question for this one is, last year's 13 Nights of Tiki Frights, we actually gave away, as one of our 13 giveaways, a mug from Shima Ceramics. What was that mug? If you can name the mug, first person to guess it will get the glass straw.
Oh, I don't know the answer to that.
You don't know the answer to that.
No, no, I didn't see that
We'll
one.
see.
Huh. What other questions did anybody have any other questions for me about mug making or whatever?
Yeah, if anyone has questions, feel free to throw them in. Yeah, so someone got it here. I don't. It was a little. Okay. So I don't know how to pronounce this. I never know how to pronounce this. Moweece. You guessed it correctly, so you get the skull straw. I have a question for you, completely unrelated to ceramics. What's your
Hmm.
favorite season of Stranger Things?
Oh man, it's still the first one.
Yeah?
Yeah, the first one is just precious when the kids are playing Dungeons and Dragons, and it just reminded me so much of growing up because I was pretty much the same age at that
Yeah,
time,
as a time
wearing
frame of
the
the.
same clothes and
Yep.
um yeah, so it uh that was the most exciting for me. I mean, the other ones are really cool too, but
Did you know what you were getting into when you watched it? Like, were you aware of Stranger Things
no,
before it came out?
mm-mm. No, I try and avoid spoilers. Um,
Me too.
I like to be surprised. So I knew it was going to be cool, and then I just stopped listening to anything about it and just watched it, and yeah.
Have you watched any of the Netflix shows like The Haunting of Hill House or the new one that just came out,
Oh,
Midnight Mass?
um, is the Haunting of Hill House the movie? Is there also a
No, so
series?
there's a series on Netflix now.
Okay, I've seen the movie. I love the movie. I haven't seen the series.
Worth checking out.
Yeah, the
If you
movie. Have you seen the movie? It
yeah,
is.
the old movie with the it's got like the claw thing over the bed.
Um,
You remember that? And my favorite character, I think, dies a sad death.
maybe I'm
Or
thinking of the wrong
maybe that's
movie.
just The Haunting.
The Haunting of Hill House
The
is
haunt.
the one where the lady is like, well, I don't want to spoil it.
Are you talking to Vincent Price?
No, no, this is much more recent.
Hmm.
I'll
I'll
figure it
have,
out.
I'll have to check it out.
But yeah, I'll check that out too. I'm always looking for something that's scary. That not I can't find a lot that really gets me. It Chapter 2 was probably the scariest thing that I watched recently. Um,
Okay. Yeah, that's
love
pretty good.
that.
Were
I
you? I saw on your Instagram that you were moving some scorpion bowls, and you found I believe it was a dead scorpion,
Yeah,
just
thank
hanging out. Did you jump?
yeah. Yeah, it was stuck to the
Yeah.
tape that I was holding. And it freaked me out. Yeah, because it's not something you see very often in around here. But I've seen like two or three baby tiny scorpions, which is kind
That's
of
two or three too many.
yeah. I don't know how deadly they are, but it definitely freaked me out. But yeah, it was very meta that that there was a scorpion in my scorpion bowl.
Shrunken Monkey is saying that he helped make the Demogorgons for Universal. That's pretty cool. I assume that is for Universal Horror Nights. Um, do you like haunted houses?
I haven't been to one in a. I don't think I've ever been to a one, like a real one.
Oh, really?
Mm-mm.
That'd
I
be the
don't get out
test.
much.
When the
Up
kids
until
are
the
older, they'll
pandemic, I
drag you
was
out.
bartending all the time. I was bartending at night, so I would usually miss the fun stuff on the weekends, And
Are
then
you ceramics full time at this point?
yeah, yeah, I've moved on to full time. Um, I'd like to go back bartending at some point, but right now it's not really feasible time wise. I do miss the social aspect of it though. I do love talking to customers and also the making the drinks is super creative and fun. So I miss that.
Do you have any crazy bar stories?
The bar I
Perhaps
work
ones you
at,
don't want to talk about?
well, I mean, there's plenty that of me at other bars, not me not working. Where I mean, I danced on my fair share of bars in college, um, and also
Okay.
TikiCon 2017.
Okay.
I guess that's not officially a bar, but I two, 2017 TikiCon, I went to Halle Pele for the first time and ordered
Yep.
one of their drinks that was it had like five crossbones or whatever. Anyway, and I'm like 120 pounds wet, so it doesn't take too much to push me over the top.
So that
Um,
was a good night.
at first it was fantastic. I was I got I got pulled up. There were go-go dancers dancing on stage, and the coordinator of the show had pushed me up on stage to dance with the go-go dancers. And I had so much fun. But then shortly thereafter, I blacked out, and the next day was really rough, really rough. But
That happened to me too. I went to my first Tiki event. It was Tiki Oasis in Arizona of this year,
hmm
and the first night was really fun, and then the second night not so much.
those
For the
guys
same
know how to
reason.
party, man. Like 3 or 4 nights in a row. That's hard.
Yeah, I don't know how they do it.
It takes some practice, I think, and a
I had
special
rented one of the
liver.
you rent like a pool cabana there, and of
hmm
course I was not feeling it. So I went and sat at the pool cabana for maybe 10 minutes, and I was like, you know what, guys, you can have this pool cabana. I am going back to my room to sleep.
Yeah, it's hard to do it. Give it 110% all the time.
Do you go to TikiCon every year?
Up until the pandemic, I had been. 2017 was my first year, and I've been to Oasis for 3 years. Not the last year though. It didn't quite feel safe enough yet. It was like
Okay, yeah.
iffy. Or I mean, I actually by the time Oasis happened, I would have felt comfortable going, but at sign up time, it was like nobody was,
Yep.
had their shots or anything. So,
Yeah,
so
it was kind of risky. I
yeah.
got my shot, basically my second shot, just before the event, and I was like, yes.
Oh, nice.
They opened it up
Yeah.
just in time,
Hmm.
so I did feel comfortable. But yeah, it was a little hairy, scary there for a while.
It was. Yeah.
But now we're back.
We're back. Yeah, I'm
Feel
ready
good.
for the next
Cheers to that.
next year. Cheers. Yeah, I'll do my best to be there. Maybe I might have a 7-month-old baby, but I will be there.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Now, if people want to find you, if they want to find your mugs, is it shimaceramics.com?
Yeah.
There we go.
ShimaCeramics.com. I'm on Etsy too, but it's a lot easier just to go to my website. And I don't do Facebook too much, but I am on Instagram a lot. So if you want to message me, that's a good way to get in touch. And yeah.
Fantastic, man. It's been so good talking to you. I'm so excited because I've been a big fan of your work for a couple of years. Well, I've only been in Tiki for a couple of years, but pretty much as long as I've been in Tiki, I've been admiring your mugs. So
Thanks.
thank you for joining us.
I stand on very big shoulders to get here. I've learned a lot from the greats. So
Well, that's fantastic.
yeah.
That's what makes the community so great, right? That everybody's just a wealth of information. They're willing to share it, and
So nice, and everybody's nice. Everybody shares. Yeah, it's pretty special.
awesome.
And thanks so much for having me. This is great.
Yeah, man, for sure. I know people are probably excited about finding out who won these mugs. So before
Those
we
are
say
gorgeous.
adieu, we will announce the winner of these. Once again, these were designed and sculpted by Squid, Dave Cohen, and they were manufactured by Tiki Bauer. They're called the triple header mugs. So the winner is, and of course, it's another last name that I don't know how to pronounce. It's Lisa Galavattria. So last name spelled Galavottira. So Lisa, we will send you an email. If you're watching this, let us know. You can send us a private message as well, and we'll ship you those mugs. Man, I think that's it.
All right, man. Thanks so much.
I appreciate it so much. It was so great talking to you.
Likewise.
And people, be sure to follow Shima Ceramics. Go to his website, pick up one of those Eldritch Terror Scorpion bowls before they sell out.
Totally.
Right
and I'll
Thanks,
have
man.
something new soon. So, all right.
I know you will. I'm excited.
Right.
Have a good night.
Thanks. You too.